Hey guys, welcome to today's mail opening. I just wanted to start this one off with a little nod to the game collection. I ordered this game from them just after Christmas, and I think they must have been having a little bit of time off because it was only dispatched yesterday. And then they've sent it 24 hours. And this is, it's a copy of Red Faction Guerrera Remastered, or Remastered, sealed. This cost me £3 and they've sent it 24-hour delivery. So I'm really impressed with that, that's really good. Although it is a bit of an old game, it's one that still holds significantly more than £3 in most places where you can buy it. I think it was like 15 in CEX for a used copy. So, that's I just thought I'd give them a little nod at the start of this mail opening video. I've got a little invoice in there as well. Game collection. There's no prices on it or anything. Alright, just thought I'd give them a little nod. Now I'm going to go and get this installed, and I'm going to throw it over to me in whenever I next have mail to open. Hey guys, welcome to the video. Today you are very lucky because it is the first mail opening of the year, and it's quite an interesting one actually. This is my order from Ringside from their Cyber Monday sale. I can only think of it being the second time that I've ordered from Ringside, but I could have sworn I'd ordered from them twice already, but I really can't think of what it is. So if anyone's a devoted enough Disaster Man fan to tell me what the other thing I ordered off Ringside was, other than Retrofest Cheeky, I'm all ears, because I can't remember, but I'm sure I have ordered something. Or maybe I've just been that certain of doing it at some stage, because I have been tempted over the years. Maybe I was just certain I was going to at some stage, and absolutely didn't. Anyway, we're trying not to waffle today because we've got 2 parcels to get through. We've also got quite a few stories and anecdotes along the way. So, yeah, there's no point me waffling on to begin with. So, yeah, let's crack on, shall we? I've got one of my new soil shirts on. Hold on, let's get you a proper look at that. Yeah. And if you want to check out the mail opening where I received these, have a little scroll down my community tab and have a look for my second channel, or just search for Bendring on YouTube and you'll find it that way. Let's start with the little one first. This is a bundle I picked up on eBay. I'm sure I only won it like 2 days ago, so this has come nice and quickly. And it was a good example of me just spotting something I was after in a bundle for a decent price and thinking, yeah, let's pick that up. And it is a basic Mike Knox. We want this for the NWA Fed. He's probably someone I would use on hand anyways, just a strong guy. He was going to be in the Jax version of DSW, the 2013 version of DSW, mostly for hardcore division stuff, so, he still might pop up in that. This is actually in remarkably good condition. A bit of, very faint marks on him, the kind of marks that you get in box even, but there's no damage to the eyebrows at all. The eyes are really good. The beard and the hair, there's no, I mean, it's the kind of wrong material to get chipped, I guess, but you can chip anything. All the hair on his chest looks like it's more or less intact. There's not any major marks all over him. Doesn't seem to be any chips on his trunks either. This is not a cheap basic. I think this bundle was maybe £9. I think the cheapest one of these I'd ever found was 12 on eBay, and I didn't really feel like paying that. It's only Mike Knox. So yeah, I spotted him the other day and we got it. I think it was around £9. So we got this guy and a couple of other bits to sell. This is really nice. This is a remarkably good example of a Mike Knox basic. And like I say, this will be used in the NWA pick fed if I'm going to revisit that idea. That has been back on the cards a bit lately. I've been thinking about it, looking into it. We'll see what happens. But either way, he's going to find some use in my fed, even if it's just as a big brute guy on my new IG fed adventures. Who else did we get in this? Oh yeah, basic MVP. This is just to sell on. I haven't looked yet at the price of these, but I imagine it's, for a basic, I imagine it's alright. It's probably like a couple of quid more than your average basic, I would imagine. And if not, we could always head swap that onto our MVP and make it like a younger MVP. Body shape would be a little bit off, but, I've definitely seen worse customs. And I thought there was a couple more figures than this, but apparently not. There's just a Flex Force Kofi Kingston, and as you can see, his hand just came off there. Flex Force was so garbage, man. His hand is literally in the parcel. Like, it's broken in transit. Yeah. That's just another piece for another fodder bundle. That's an awful Kofi head as well. That's the worst Kofi head. So, yeah. But we got the Mike Knox. That's what it was for. The Mike Knox makes it all worth it. The MVP will maybe get a couple of quid back to reduce the initial investment. And maybe we'll put him in disaster figs, because as I mentioned in the last video about setting up as a sole trader, I couldn't sleep last night, so I was reading up on it, and things are looking good. Things are looking promising. That's something I'm leaning towards. It's less complicated than I expected, and that's all that was really putting me off. So now it's just getting the details down, making sure I'm confident in it, and pulling the trigger really, and just going for it. So things are looking really good there. But now we're going to get on to my purchases from Ringside Collectibles on their Cyber Monday sale. Like I say, I think this is the second order I've ever put in from Ringside Collectibles, but please correct me if you know otherwise. There's a couple of figures here that I wanted them for the price that they were at. Now, the shipping from Ringside to the UK, apparently since COVID, it's definitely higher than it used to be, but apparently since COVID it's been terrible. I have a feeling it might be more to do with Brexit than COVID, but yeah, it's not good. Even with how good the price was on these figures, it still wasn't an amazing deal. It was just a good deal. In the US, these were an amazing deal. The Cyber Monday sale on Ringside was absolutely crazy, and if I was American, I would have spent hundreds of dollars on buying stuff from the Ringside sale. But since I'm not, I purchased just these two items, both from a little bit different wrestling figure lines, which is probably what made me pull the trigger, because I like having figures that are a little bit different, with the intention to use them in my figure fed as figures that are a little bit different. You know, not everyone has them, and it's a little bit, you know, alternative. So that's probably why I've pulled the trigger on these. Otherwise, I probably shouldn't have really picked them up. But, you know, we've done it now. First one here, even this tissue paper is really nice. It's a nice touch. You're going to have to come out of there, I'm afraid. The first piece is my first ever Storm Collectibles figure. I would have purchased all of their Tekken figures, but Storm Collectibles are just way beyond my budget. It is the debut attire Jushin Thunder Liger figure. Now, this isn't my favourite of the Thunder Ligers. It's actually probably my least favourite, I'm sure many people probably agree. However, it was the one that was $10, and I'm not sure what the price point was for this one originally, but I'm imagining it was somewhere around $30. The others weren't reduced as much, and I actually had to pay more shipping on this than for the other figure, which just made it even worse. So this was $10, and I ended up working out that both figures, I was paying about £33 for these two figures, and this was only $10, and the other figure was cheaper. So that shows you how bad the shipping is. It's heartbreaking, but when the deal is that good, you can't afford to pick up a piece or two. Shipping does go up per figure as well. It's slightly cheaper than buying them individually, but I emphasize slightly. We're talking like $1. So you're basically getting charged shipping for every figure you buy. It's not great. It's not easy to order from Ringside, but we got Thunder Liger. I figure I'm almost certainly going to open this and use it in my Fed, like I say. We've got some marks on the back of the box there, so that's not ideal. That's not amazing. More reason to open it, isn't it? I did get this to make Fed stuff with, but you know, if I never get around to using him, I figure it'll probably sell on pretty well. Hopefully should be able to get my money back on that one. And then this other one is a figure that I have always wanted a figure of this guy. And when Figures Toy Company came out with theirs, I nearly bought it, because back in 2013 you could get stuff like that in the UK. I almost bought it. I'm so glad I didn't now, obviously, because Figures Toys are just terrible. But I always wanted this guy. This was $5. This is Legends of Lucha Libre Fanaticos Juventud Guerrera. And it has taken me years to get myself a Juventud Guerrera figure. At least a decade in the making right here. And I'll tell you the story behind this. Obviously, first of all, he was the third member of the Mexicals, who I loved when I was a kid, so I wanted Hoovy as the third one, obviously. But the two real things that made me want a Juventud figure so much, first of all, was his match for the X Division title with Chris Sabin in 2002. It came on the DVD that came with the TNA video game. Unbelievable match. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. I loved Chris Sabin, and I had Chris Sabin, and I was like, oh, I need to get the other guy as well. That was great. It was also when I realised Juventud looked so much like Michael Jackson. But I digress. The other thing that made me want Juventud was that when I was a kid, I didn't have access to every figure. I didn't know what every figure was. I didn't know what everything was available. Back then, kids didn't look on the internet for everything. And I only really knew the figures that I saw around me. So, like, I'd see this in a shop. I'd know that these figures exist. And that's basically how it would go. And I bought one product. I feel like it was maybe a ring. Or possibly, like, a figure from a more obscure series. Like, my Rob Conway. I had no idea what that was before I found it. So, on the back of that product was Juventud Guerrera. And I was like, oh, brilliant. Well, I want him. We'll try and get him at some stage. And I must have searched for him on eBay dozens of times at random points. Just Juventud wrestling figure, WWE figure. No such thing popping up on eBay ever. Kept looking, never found one. And it was only a few years ago that I found out by watching the Major Pod videos that Juventud figure was never released. So when I was a kid, I was looking for this figure all the time. Not massively often, but anytime I was on eBay, every now and then I think about it. I was looking for this Juventud figure, and it didn't exist. And now, it's cost us maybe a little more than we would have liked. Or, you know, actually it's probably about even on what I would have liked. I haven't got a good deal on either of these figures, I think. Like, it's a good deal, but it's not a great deal. Like, it's fine, but it's probably what I would want to pay. It isn't any cheaper than I would want to pay. In this country, these two figures are probably worth it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I have the reasons to be purchasing this. But my initial impressions of Juventud. First of all, this looks better than I thought it did. This looks better than on photos and digital renders. It looks more like the other figures in terms of, like, the body. Like, you know how the first wave of AEW figures that had those weird skin tones, and like Cody Rhodes looked like he was made out of Milky Bar? Like, the Legends of Lucha Libre figures looked weird like that. Like, they had, like, as if this isn't like the same kind of plastic. It isn't like a realistic body look like we were getting on Elites or AEWs or anything like that. In person, it looks a lot more like an actual figure. The detail is a lot better, the detail on the body and whatnot. It's quite a simplistic look. He's got a nice mask on there. He's hiding his Michael Jackson face under there. It's nice and detailed. The joints are a bit alternative because I think they've gone down the Super 7 route of trying to hide the joints. So it probably has all the articulation of your average figure in the legs and arms. It's just hidden better. So I'm pretty sure there's a thigh swivel in there. And I'm pretty sure there's a shoulder rotation. But I could be wrong on the shoulder rotation. I don't know for certain. But yeah, this is, as soon as they announced this wave, I was like, yeah, we'll pick that up if we can, and we have done. Look at this, Legends of Lucha Libre, not to put the details on the back. It's actually really nice packaging. I don't really rate figure on card wrestling figure stuff because, you know, it just gets bent, doesn't it? And in this instance where it's like a bit of a novelty figure, it would be nice if this didn't get bent. Of course, I'm going to open this, so it doesn't really matter in this one case. But, you know, I'm not really particularly interested in the rest of the wave. Pentagon, Rey Fenix, Taya Valkyrie. You know, I'm not really interested in any of them, but I'd take the Taya Valkyrie. I've got the AEW Lucha Bros, so I definitely don't need them, but I'd take the Taya Valkyrie definitely, and I do think it's an interesting line. One more final thing that I will point out from my initial impressions that I didn't mention just now is that he's got nipples. Tightest tits in the game. So this was very interesting, wasn't it? This was a very cool pair of figures. A little bit different. Nice to get different figures. Like I say, I'm obsessed with picking up these figures that are a little bit different. It's probably why I picked up the Bruce Lee figure to use in like Daft Fed stuff. It's probably what motivated me to pick up that Super 7 Andre back in the day. And yeah, it's just cool, isn't it? Like, it's just nice to have different figures, different things. Things are a little bit different to what you're seeing in every other Fed. But, yeah, that's all for this video. So I hope you've enjoyed the first mail opening of the year. It might be a while before we get one this interesting again. But if you've enjoyed this, please do check out the mail opening playlist. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye. I'll also say as well that on picking up these awesome dudes, I was so excited for these guys to turn up. I'm feeling it again. I'm feeling the figure collecting. I kind of want to go back and do my pickup videos again so I could talk about how much I love the Bam Bam Bigelow and how much I love the Rikishi and so on and so forth, because I am enthusiastic again. We're getting the IG Fed matches. Stuff is happening. I am interested in DSW Network. I realize that this is not going to go anywhere. This is me now. This is, you know, something that I really enjoy. And I'll tell you something that I realized lately. Sometimes I think about how much my figure collection has cost me. And granted, you'd be hard pressed to get a figure collection like mine for much cheaper than I have gotten it for. I've done very well at getting things cheap. I've only sank maybe like a couple of grand into it. And sometimes I do think about it and think, maybe I would have been better off having that money. But at the end of the day, I'm a 25-year-old man. I'm single again now. I'm now jobless again. I still live at home with my parents and I can't drive. And none of those things are likely to change anytime soon. I mean, I have a fair bit of money saved up, but I'm definitely not going to be like buying a house or something soon. It's not as if the amount of money I'm spending on this hobby is going to prevent me from buying that house. The massive soaring cost of housing is what's going to prevent me from buying that house. So when you look at it objectively, over the 4 years since I started collecting again, it's one of the few things that's brought me any joy. Like, this has not been a good set of years for me. And I think ultimately you need to view it in terms of that. So not necessarily for us lot who are older gentlemen, older collectors. Like, I don't really care what people think of me, but especially if you're a bit younger maybe and you're questioning what people think about you as a collector and all that kind of stuff, just do what you want to do and enjoy it. Because quite frankly, at the end of the day, it's your money, it's your stuff, it's what you want to do, it's what you enjoy, and you should just do what you enjoy and truly enjoy it and just throw yourself into it and love it, because, you know, there's only so many things in this world that can really bring you a lot of joy. And the only thing I know is over the last couple of years, not a lot of things have. Certainly not a lot of things that are still in my life. And this is one constant that has always brought me enjoyment and entertainment. So whatever it is, whether it's figure collecting, whether it's other things, just do what you want to do and just really love it. Just really enjoy it. Embrace it. Appreciate it for what it is. Let's see what the channel is going to be up to this year.